Hey y'all, got up early this morning and went junking. Unfortunately, I lost the beginning of my video this morning. I don't know what happened to it or where it went. So I came back out to the shop. I'm reshooting this for you so it kind of make a little more sense. Junking for me is going out to yard sales, garage sales, antique stores. And of course, y'all know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for three-wheelers. And so I had a great find today. It's something you probably won't see coming. So enjoy the video, and at the end of it, you'll see it. Thanks. Oh, don't skip to the end because there's good stuff in the middle too. All right, bye. I would have called that help me clean out my property sale. I didn't buy a thing. I wasn't there 10 minutes. There was nothing for sale. But the yard sale and the garage sale paid off. And so here's another little tip. And I know you three-wheeler guys are upset. You're like, why is this guy talking about yard sales? I'm getting to that. While I was there, I talked to the other people that were shopping. I made 2 good contacts. One of those leads actually took down a name and number. His neighbor has three-wheelers. So I hope to hear from him in the near future. So that's an opportunity I wouldn't have had I not got up this morning and went to a yard sale. And so that's always important, is just to spread the word. Do you happen to have any small engine equipment? I said, do you have any three-wheelers, from the 80s? Do you have a four-wheeler, old mini bike or something like that? And the garage sale guy was like, no, I'm sorry, I don't. I just had the tools. And he had a nice lathe, though. I don't know how to use one, but maybe one day I'll get a lathe in the shop. But it was something to look at, something to talk to a gentleman about. But not only did I talk to him about three-wheelers, I talked to the other people that were shopping. But when I went to the yard sale, that's where I actually picked up the big Stilson wrench or the big pipe wrench, depending on if you're in the north or not. Up north they call them Stilson wrenches, and down here in the south we call them pipe wrenches. But I was talking to that lady and she said, no, I don't have any three-wheelers, but I do got this. Check that out. Honda. So we're talking about the real deal here. This is not one of your little pit bikes that you pick up at the convenience store. This is actually a CRF 50F. I picked it up. I've already been tinkering on it, but it runs, and it runs pretty well. Somebody's been monkeying with it. They went into the carburetor and they pulled the slide out, and they put the slide in 180. They put it in backwards basically, and when they cranked down on the adjustment screw, they bent the needle. So I've ordered a rebuild kit for the carburetor. It's got 2 flat tires. We got some tubes coming. And to dress it up, we're going to go ahead and put some grips on it. Non-factory kill switch. Somebody's been in it. The key's still with it, so that's always nice. But let's see. She's cold. I don't want y'all. I'm teasing you here. So there you go. We got it running. That's what was wrong with it. When you buy small engine stuff, we've talked about this. First thing I did when I looked at it, and it looked just like this. I haven't done anything to it. I just took it out of the truck and I checked for spark. That's the first thing you want to do. So I took a good known spark plug, not the one that was in the bike, and I put a new spark plug on the header there. Just pulled the plug right out here, laid it right there against the exhaust. I had spark on a new spark plug. I pulled the plug that was on the bike out of the bike, laid it up there. It was dirty. I cleaned it, laid it up there. I had spark on the plug that came in the bike. So that plug goes back in the bike. There's no point changing it if it's working. So then I had to go into the fuel system. Looking at it, I could tell that the fuel system was probably, not going to be all that good. I pulled the tank off, and thank goodness the tank was bone dry empty. I love it. That's how you want to find them. So I sprayed it out with some compressed air, got the tank clean on the inside. Didn't want to put anything in there you don't have to. Made sure the petcock was working, blew air through the petcock and cleaned it out as well. And so then I pulled the carburetor, and what I found out was that the needle was bent. The slide would not go up and down, which made the grip here was really hard. You couldn't twist it and it didn't pop back, and it's still sticky. It's not like it's supposed to be. That's because the needle in the slide, it's rubbing. It's not moving freely. But I got it to run. I cleaned the carburetor. The main jet on this one was completely caked up. The rest of the carburetor was really clean. It was kind of odd. The bowl was clean, but the jet was completely clogged. So we did that, and as you see, within the first 3 or 4 kicks, it fires right up. It's not idling. It's not right. I've ordered a new, genuine Honda rebuild kit for that carburetor. I'm going to save the Honda OE carburetor. I'm not going to put a aftermarket carburetor on it. I've got some tubes coming for the tires. It's got 2 flat tires and some new grips just to make it look a little nicer. And I think that was a slam dunk. So I went looking for some tools, and I come back with a Honda pit bike or mini bike, kids bike. That's what I was going to do. And so that was the find of the day. And it really was. You just never know what you're going to find until you ask. It wasn't advertised that it was for sale. The people were cleaning up the property. They were going to move, I think is what they were doing. And so everything had to go. So when you're looking for those ads online, Marketplace, Craigslist, Let Go, wherever you're looking, everything must go is a great sentence to see. Moving sale is good. Those are better because your seller's motivated. They have some, they don't want to move this stuff. They have pack ratted it in their place, in their homes and properties for years and years and years, and they don't want to move it. They're leaving for whatever reason. They're motivated to let it go. That's a great opportunity for you to come in and make a reasonable offer. If they've got an item that's marked, I like to shoot 75% of whatever the item is marked, unless it's just dirt cheap. The weed eater I paid $25 for this morning. I didn't talk the guy down. He had it marked for $25. I paid $25 for it. Would he have took $22.50? Yeah, he probably would have. But for $2.50, to me, certain items, when I found out that it ran, it was $25. There's no point beating somebody down. I guess it's kind of how I look at it. What I felt was a fair price was probably more than $25, and if he's willing to take $25 for it, then I'm happy to give him $25. I gave $5 for the broom. I know, big deal, broom. But guess what? Now I got a broom for the shop, or now I have 2 brooms for the shop. The Dutch oven, after talking to the guy, we hit it off. He gave me the Dutch oven for free. Now, I kind of collect antiques. I've got a member of the family that loves antiques, and so that's going to be her birthday present come November this year. So she'll see this, and hopefully she'll be excited. So happy birthday, Mom. There's you a Dutch oven. Extension cords, anything like that, they're just consumables. You can't have too many extension cords. The guy gave me the bag. I paid $10. There's 3 cords there, a heavy duty 25 footer and then 200 footers. You can't go to the store and buy that. The Stilson wrench, that's a present as well. 20 bucks right there, $20 for that. I just Googled it. This is an old one. If you look close, if any of y'all guys are tool collectors, and there's actually people that are. They laugh at us 3-wheeler guys, but the tool collectors, this is a Ridge tool company made in Ohio, USA, 48 inches. So what's neat about that is the Ridge company later becomes the rigid tool manufacturer that you see in the department stores now. But this is the old original stuff made in America. The bench grinder, it's just a solid older style. It's all, it's heavy. It's just a good bench grinder. It does work. We tested it there before I bought it. It was 10 bucks. There's a sticker on there. 10 bucks right there. Now you go buy a bench grinder that size right there new, 100 and a quarter probably. 100 on sale maybe, if you're lucky. The vise, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the vise. I'm probably going to keep it and use it. It's bigger than the one that I have, and the one that I had, the jaws broke on it in the corner. It's heavy, it needs to be cleaned up. I can't tell what manufacturer it is. It had a data plate right here on the side. If any of you tool guys know what year, make, and model this vise is, I'd love to know. The base is with it. When you're buying vices, there's a few things you want to look for. Make sure that it's not froze up, that the worm gear works inside. Make sure the base is with it. Really popular for the Wilton vices. They're probably hands down the best vise out there. I don't have one, but I bought a couple through the years. A lot of times, for whatever reason, the base stays put on the table. They take the vise off and then they sell it, and then you got a vise with no mount for it. So when you buy a vise, always make sure it has the base on it. This has got a 3-hole base on it, which is unique. Most of them I see have a 4-hole. It may not be that old, but it is certainly heavy. And it's got the pipe clamp on the other side of it. And then, like I said, it needs to be cleaned up. But it's nice. He wanted $15 for the vise. For $15, scrap weight is worth $15. It weighs a ton. I can't wait to clean it up. I think it's going to make a nice addition to the shop. And so what you're all waiting for is the cost of this here little mini bike. I paid what they wanted for it. They wanted $75 for the bike, so I gave them $75 for the bike. It didn't run, of course, when I got it. Didn't know what was wrong with it. Few things you do want to look for is kick them over, pull the pull rope if that's what it is, kick it over with your foot. I walked over to this bike, I saw the key was in the ignition. That's good. If somebody keeps the key, they probably do some of the other things that they're supposed to do to take care of equipment. The key was there. I kicked it over. It kicked over fine. It didn't make any weird noises. It wasn't locked up. Those were the first two things I wanted to look for. I knelt down next to the bike. I saw that it was all there. It wasn't missing nuts and bolts and screws and brackets and carburetors and air filters. It was all intact. So whatever killed this bike, it was probably going to be something like a dirty carburetor, a bad ignition system. The chain was still on the bike. It was still taut. It wasn't, sloppy loose. The sprocket looked good, so it didn't have a million miles on it. I would say these are the original tires on this bike. And these are all things we talk about with the three-wheelers. They apply to anything, a lawnmower, a car, or a motorcycle. It doesn't matter. Originality is always important. It tells you, gives you an idea of use and care. And if you're buying something used, those are two things that you really need to pay attention to. How was it used and how was it cared for? Was it left outside in the mud, for 20 years? If so, you don't want it. But this one actually had a tarp over it. It was next to the shed. I'm sure at one time it was in the shed when it was new. And when it quit running, they just threw a tarp over it. And luckily I got to it before the tarp deteriorated. You see the sun's beat on it though. The top cover here is beat down. The sun's got to it pretty good. But that's a cheap fix if you really wanted to go back through and dress it up like that. I just wish I was 10 again so I could ride it like it's supposed to be ridden. But yeah, we got a carburetor already ordered for it. Ordered that and some tubes, and I think that's going to be a nice bike for a little kid. They say that this is the trainer, the CRF50F. It's actually a manual shift here, just like the three-wheelers with an auto clutch. Your kill start, your keys on this side. It's twist throttle, traditional motorcycle stuff. The brakes work on this. I mean, everything's here, everything works. So for $75, you can't go wrong. In all honesty, after looking it up online, these bikes really aren't that expensive new. You can buy that bike right now, brand new, 2021 model, I guess, I saw one listed for $1,500. That's an amazing price. It really is. The money in these is to part them out. If you had one that was unfixable and parted out, if you look at the front forks, they're $100. The seat's $100. The engine was $500 on eBay. again, I go around that same, that same argument. Do you part them out? Do you save them? I like to save them. I don't like parting them out. But the resale value on this bike, you laugh at $75. Okay, well, it's a 05. If a new one is 15, used one's going to have to start out at least half of that. At least. I mean, I just don't see how you're going to get much more than half of something, that's 15 years old versus something that's brand spanking new with a warranty from a dealer that, is encouraging you to buy it. So $750, that's about what you're probably going to be able to sell it for. Okay, well, $75 is still cheap, and I get that. But when you put a $120 carburetor on it and $30 worth of tubes, and it starts adding up. I didn't know what it was going to need when I bought it, and you wouldn't know either. Just looking at it, it could have needed a whole new ignition system, or maybe the head had a hole in it. I've had that happen on a 110 before. Everything checked out good until you put a compression gauge on it, and it had 0 compression. Now, I didn't have my gauge with me when I bought this, so I just had to kind of roll the dice on it. It sounded like it was making compression, and that's where your trained ear comes in. When I kicked it over, and it went foo, 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 instead of brrr. Big difference. And I know that's silly. I probably shouldn't have did that. But when you hear that popping sound, that pop, 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 that's compression building inside the head. That's air flowing through the exhaust. That means the exhaust wasn't plugged up. I could actually feel it coming out the tailpipe. It wasn't full of a dirt dauber's nest or a wasp nest. It didn't have a bunch of rain, and it hadn't been sitting outside like that. So all of those things you can attest, or you can take in and kind of factor in and build the case. Do you want to buy this bike? Is it worth the risk to you? Well, at that price, I know I could sell the seat by itself and make all my money back and be even on it and throw the rest of it away. Now, I'm not going to do that, but you could. And so knowing what something costs before you ever go to buy it is huge. You see these guys on TV, these guys that run around and they go to the antique stores. They know exactly what something costs before they ever buy it. And so I'm going to make you a video, and I'm probably going to rub some of y'all the wrong way, and I don't mean anything by it. I'm just going to share my way of doing things, and if that benefits you, great. If you disagree, I understand. We're just going to disagree. If you know what the price of something is before you ever buy it, then you know if you're getting a good deal or not. And then you factor in what it could possibly take to make it valuable again. But I knew this little mini bike was worth $1,000 come Christmas time. Hands down, running, driving is worth $1,000. But I have no idea what's wrong with it to get it to that level to make it be worth $1,000. So basically, I paid 10% for what the bike is going to sell for probably when I choose to sell it. That may even be a hard sale. I may not be able to get the $700 for it. So real quick, you spend $100 for something and you put $400 in it. You put a new engine in it to make it run. All of a sudden, you got $500 in a $700 bike. Yeah, you made a little bit of money. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of opportunities for errors. You get the wrong engine in the mail and it doesn't bolt up like it's supposed to, or something was wrong with it when you got it because you got the cheaper one that was used. I mean, there's just a lot of things that could go wrong. So when I go to a flea market, yard sales, thrift store, anything like that, I stick to what I know. I know tools, I know antique tools, and I know yard equipment, ATVs, and that kind of stuff. And so those are the things I gravitate to or towards. I don't go in there looking at old furniture, and I don't look at necessarily cars or trucks for that matter. Farm equipment I know a little bit about, just enough to be dangerous. I leave that to the professionals, and you know who I'm talking about out there. So this is what I deal with. This is how I know how to buy. I know what these items are cost if I chose to resell them. I know what they're worth to me if I choose to keep them. I know that weed eater I paid $25 for is worth $200 all day long to buy a weed eater because I bought one 3 days ago. I kid you not. I just paid $200 on a brand new weed eater. I haven't even started it yet. And I find this one for 25 bucks. That's just the way things go sometimes. So we got a spare in the family now, and so we'll put it to use. But for $25, I couldn't pass it up. It runs. It started on the second pull. You can't walk away from that. I could turn around and give it away and be great present for somebody. Hey, here, you know, Merry Christmas. It's a working weed eater, and it only cost me $25. Makes me feel good, and it's an inexpensive Christmas present. So if you're related to me or know me and you get a weed eater this Christmas and it's used, pretend you didn't know that I only paid $25 for it. We got a mini bike in the shop. We're gonna go through it in the next video. We're gonna do a video about buying and selling, markup, wholesale, retail. We got all that coming. Fall's here, y'all. I'm excited. I have suffered out in this shop, 90-degree days, sweating. Y'all see me sweat. It's hot out here today. But this fall, we're gonna do a lot more videos, a lot more things. If y'all have any questions, three-wheeler related or even antique or something like that tool-wise, you know, put it down in the comments. If you know who made this vise, here's another good look at it. I'm really interested if you know who made this vise. But it's heavy. You know, these colors, this slate gray color is what I'll call it. I don't know what the name of it is. Very industrial. Look how thick the paint is. The paint was crazy thick on this thing. So it was probably considered heavy duty in its day based on the industrial paint that's on it. The paint's really thick. It's built really beefy. If I had to guess, I'd say it weighs 80 pounds all day long. It really weighs a lot. As for the wrench, we know the wrench value. An old one this big is, you know, they go anywhere from 100 to 225 online, depending on the age. This one's not an antique per se, but it certainly is a good one. The bench grinder, you know, 10 bucks was a great buy. Used like it is, I know it does work. 50 bucks tops probably on those. You know, they're kind of a dime a dozen. Somebody's got one of those sitting in the corner, you know, maybe on a stand. You might be willing to pay a little bit more for it, but that's all. They're really not that much, not that valuable. So there we go. There's a peek. Oh yeah, I got one more surprise coming for you. Remember the 84 Big Red that I was all excited about? I got it, I brought it in. We got it running, and then about 10 minutes after getting it running, and ate the timing chain on it and just grenaded the engine. Yeah, it's coming back, and it's got a friend. And so we got some Big Red content coming on. We got some 1984 content. I think I have 4 or 5 84s right now, and so we're gonna build one. We got a new one coming in, and that video will probably come. I've got to go get it. It's a couple of counties over. I've secured it. You know, it's in a safe place. I just have to be able to get free from work to go get it. So that's coming up. I'm excited about that. I want an 84 here in the shop. I want to keep one here in the shop. I have made the mistake of getting rid of most of my 84s. So it's been a good day. All this has been done by 9 o'clock already. I got the whole weekend ahead of me. So y'all take care. Thank you for watching. One more thing. We passed 1,000 subscribers, and thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I really wasn't sure if I was going to make that 1,000. That was the first threshold or milestone that YouTube sets. I'm grateful. I really am. For an old guy that dabbles in three-wheelers and junk from yard sales, I think it's quite an accomplishment. I really do. I think it is, and I'm grateful for it, and I thank you. So keep going, share, like, and subscribe. Tell your buddies. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good day. Bye.